It's finally here. School of Scents first fragrance release. Except the brand will not be called School of Scents. How did I land upon the name of Atrium Fragrance? It refers to our own private group that's been around since 2020, the early days of the pandemic, that basically was a representation of the fragrance community. It was us in a little close-knit circle getting together and discussing what we love most, and this is our hobby. So essentially that's the crux of this new brand we're making. I've always wanted to make this brand in a way to represent the fragrance community itself and what we want. I think my greatest strength as a reviewer is my relatability. I feel that I have a good idea of what people want in the community. I've asked you guys the kind of fragrance you'd want to see us release as well. I try to get everyone on board, and I think we've pretty much nailed it. I think we've created something phenomenal. The idea of Atrium Fragrance is to eventually have 5 men's fragrances that are all 10 out of 10s based on the criteria that I always mention on our videos that I will talk about again later in this video. Our first release will be Mr. Fragrance, which is a blue type fragrance, except elevated, and let me explain. I initially met the perfumer of this fragrance, John Stephen, by happy coincidence. I went to his perfumery course back in June of last year over in the Cotswolds. He owns that perfumery, and he helped me out a lot. He really opened my eyes to the entire fragrance world, and after meeting him, I knew that he is a master perfumer. He's made some fantastic fragrances. I knew John should make our first fragrance. He has obviously his own experience as a perfumer. He didn't really know what a blue fragrance was, but I knew that once I explained it to him and showed him a few examples, that he'd be able to create something phenomenal. So he essentially took, okay, this is the mainstream idea of a blue fragrance, and decided to make a niche. And I think that's how we've elevated this. We've made, in my opinion, the best smelling blue fragrance on the market. This started off as a blue fragrance and has gone through many iterations. I think at least 8 different iterations. This has been a work in progress since August of last year. And essentially, became sort of its own subgenre of fragrance. It's combined blue notes with green notes. It's very unique in a certain way, but at the same time also a little bit familiar. In this video, I'll explain the fragrance itself, and in the next video, which will be released very shortly after this one, you guys will see the public reactions for this fragrance with complete transparency. People who don't know this is my brand, don't know anything about it. The reason I work with independent perfumers like John Stephen is that I want to create a brand that changes the direction of the fragrance industry. I've expressed my dissatisfaction in the past with how a lot of different releases are very generic and not really necessary and are not really memorable. I knew that this first release of ours, I think is going to need to be a blind buy. It's going to need to be crowdfunded. And if you guys are spending your money on me and trusting me to make something phenomenal, I want to have a fragrance that's still relatable, a blue fragrance. Most people love it. Most people who voted, over 2,000 of you guys voted, you want it. Before I discuss how you guys can order Mr. Fragrance, I will tell you about its scent profile, its performance, its occasions to wear, and which age groups I think this is most appropriate for. Okay, first of all, scent profile. Let's get a fresh few sprays onto the hand. The official notes I've been given by John for this fragrance is that the top notes are lavender and orange, the mid is galbanum, and the base is ambergris, musk, and patchouli. However, I will add that at basically the halfway point of this project, we did add vetiver to this fragrance, and that's what makes it very unique, very upscale, and makes it smell expensive. So it's very likely we will list vetiver as one of the notes as well. I get it more in the mid. It's not a smoky and sharp vetiver, it's more of a smooth vetiver. It's difficult to explain until you smell it, but it's not like your traditional vetiver fragrances you think on the market, but it's really elevated the DNA and really took it to the next level. So initially, when you smell this fragrance, you think, okay, fresh out the shower, citruses, but it's a soft citrus, it's orange. And I think this smells initially straight away very pleasant and very handsome. and also expensive. You get some of that vetiver greenness in the background. This fragrance has a story. It is not linear. It has a very obvious top, mid, and dry down. And it is very smooth all the way through. Very beautifully blended in my opinion. I trusted John to deliver and he absolutely did. And in the dry down is when you get a bit more sharpness comes through now, is through the ambergris. I think it's very much dominant with the ambergris in the dry down. It's very beautifully done. The ambergris and the patchouli mixed together very nicely, creating sort of this sharp, musky, marine dry down that I think smells super masculine. Performance, how does this perform? I get around 8 hours with this fragrance. I'm being conservative. I think I do get a little bit more than that, probably between the 8 and 10 hour mark, but let's say 8 hours. This is not a room filler. I would say the projection of this fragrance is about 2 feet, a nice bubble around you for the first 2 hours, and then starts to slowly get more and more close to the skin. I've gotten compliments for this fragrance up to 5 hours into wearing it, and for me this has been one of my most complimented fragrances ever. This is a big compliment. I got compliments mainly from women as well. It's not what I aim for, but that's just what I've noticed. Mainly women have complimented this fragrance. The idea of this first release is that we give you guys a versatile signature. That's how blue fragrances are generally seen. So in my opinion, this fragrance can be worn in both daytime and nighttime, absolutely, and can pretty much be worn in any environment. Which age group can rock this fragrance? In my opinion, any age group can rock this. I think it's more safe for guys in their 20s and up, but I do think teenagers can rock it if you dress really well. Because it's an expensive smelling fragrance, you have to dress sharp and live up to it, in my opinion. The cost of this fragrance will RRP at £70. 70 Great British pounds for 100 milliliters. And in my opinion, this smells very, very much higher quality than that price tag. We are doing an early bird special on the link where you can pre-order the fragrance, where the first 250 bottles will be £60. This is UK only. Overall, unless you're one of those quick people who gets the first 250 bottles, this will be a £70 fragrance. Let's discuss the crowdfunding that is needed for this project to happen. You're not only supporting a fragrance release, you're also supporting a brand that will hopefully do justice for you guys and for the fragrance community. There is an initial restriction, being that fragrances have alcohol in them. It is a flammable item. I am restricted, guys, unfortunately, to making this product UK only initially. People who are pre-ordering it will only be people who are in the UK. However, guys, if you do put in at least £60 for this project, I will list your name down. I can't make any guarantees, but I'll try to get you guys a free bottle in the future if possible. All right, no guarantees, guys, so UK only for now. We do need to raise at least £15,000 for this project to happen. If you believe in it and you do put money into this project, what will you be funding? So if you guys successfully help us reach our goal of £15,000, we will proceed to mass produce the perfume compound, mass produce the bottle design, and mass produce the box outer packaging as well. Your money will also go to fulfillment of filling up each bottles with the perfume, packaging it, wrapping in cellophane, and then also for delivery. Your money will also go towards creating a professional website, which will need legal fees. That is very important, especially with any cosmetics. And eventually, any money that we do raise as well, we're going to try and get this product released overseas, which includes EU and then North America. If you guys have any other questions about Mr. Fragrance, write them down in the comments below and I'll try my best to answer them. Stick around, watch this space, guys, because you're about to see public reactions to this fragrance to give you guys a better idea of how it smells and what people think of it.